One day at Cantled High School, Sunset was at her locker when Vice Principal Luna walks up to her and asks if she could come to her office after lunch break. And Sunset said that she could, and even after that Vice Principal Luna had left, Sunset was curious what it's about. She could not have been in any sort of trouble because she would have mentioned that right away though. But what was it about? She didn't pay so much attention to it since the bell rang and she had ran as fast as she could to the first class. Even during the science class and even during the math, she still was thinking about what about this new, or about that Vice Principal Luna wanted her talking to her after, or at least during lunch break. But she tried to focus at the school classes and the different subjects. She even mentioned this to her friends, even during it between the classes. Even they were a bit surprised, but also curious. But Rainbow mentions that thought, well, if you were in trouble, you would probably have been taken to her office right away. But even Applejack said, honestly, might be true, Rainbow. If she had been if Sunset were in trouble, she would have taken her right away to her office. But if there was something else important, it could be anything. So even then, they all could speculating what this could be. As the time went, the lunch break arrived, and after that she had her lunch, Sunset went straight to Vice Principal Luna's office. She knocked on the door and she said, "Come in," and she sat down, and apparently though, and even though when Sunset asked if she was in sort of trouble, but Vice Principal Luna smiled and said, "No, you're not in trouble. I want to ask you for a favor." So, what kind of favor? Then Vice Principal Luna told her that they're going to have a new student that will start school next week. And they have been talked which student will be her, like a guide to show her around. So, Principal Luna, Vice Principal Luna and Celestia had been thinking, what about Sunset Shimmer? She's a good friend to everyone at school. But they couldn't even decide it first right away because they had to ask her first. And then suddenly Sunset asked who this student would be, if it's a girl or boy. And the reason that is, she said that was a girl by the name Icy Bliss. And she even said some things that might shock even mostly Sunset. One of the most reasons why she's starting at that particular high school because she used to be another high school in 2 states away, the 2 towns away, but she were bullied at the high school. And she tried to go to school, but she was bullied every single day. And sometimes it get even worse. She had lost all her friends. And that made her realize she could not even be there anymore. So, her mother had been trying to figure out maybe if it was possible that she could start another school, be transferred. But the only available school there that could have been taking her application was apparently Cantled High School. And since that school has very good reputation for kindness, honesty, and most of all, no tolerance for violence or bullying. So, she maybe thought so mother had been talking to both Vice Principal Luna and Celestia about if she could start working there. So, after being talking to both her daughter in private, without any other students notice that, they seems to be turns out that she could start in school the next week. So, and then Luna was again asked if Sunset would be willing to be showing Icy Bliss around the school. Of course, Sunset didn't mind since she would like to be someone to be showing around. So, but she even asked if she could keep this much as a secret from the rest of the students, at least on the bowling parts. And of course, she promised. So after school, some of her friends were still waiting outside, waiting for Sunset. Rainbow, she asked, so, what did you want to do? Were you in trouble? Or just something else? And Sunset said, no trouble, and apparently there's going to be a new student here next week. Everyone was just looking, but most of all, Pinky was just smiling and said, a new student? This needs a party! Pinky, no, please. Not right now, at least. Alright. So, who is this new student? Well, there's a girl who lives two states towns away, by the name Icy Bliss. She had been transferred here because she was bullied back in her hometown. Oh no. And this school was the only one apparently to be willing to take her in, since it was the only school that was available for her to do so. Yeah. And they had all asked me if I could be like her guide and show her around the school, and I said yes. So during the weekend, Sunset was still curious about this particular girl. What made her a target in bowling in the first place? Was it something how she talks, or how she looks like, or her fashion designs, or anything? But when the Monday came, every student walks into the gym hall, where both Vice Principal and Principal Luna and Celestia were talking to the students, informing them about the new student. And when they had her stepping inside, they noticed this beautiful young girl, but everybody seems to be curious, why was she so differently? But when they saw the most reason why, she opened her eyes and looked at everyone instead at the audience. She had one blue eye and one brown eye. She had two different eye colors. Everyone was just staring, and that made her feeling uncomfortable. But then Luna said, Sunset, can you come here? And Sunset walked up to her and said, this is your new friend, this is your guide, Sunset Shimmer. She will show you around the school. And Sunset tried to shake her hand, but Icy Bliss was very much shy. She didn't even do it at first, but after a while she shook her head. And everyone has gone to their classes. Sunset had given permission not to be having to escape some class at the first, so that she can show her around. So Sunset showed her around the school, but she tried to talk to her about anything, like what she liked at school so far, and what her favorite subjects are. But Icy Bliss, she only gave like a short answer for each question. And she did actually see that how nervous she were in new school, hoping that this would be better. And then Sunset broke the news, or broke the silence, that she knew about her being bullied in her old school. And that made Icy Bliss look at her. And you're not to worry, there hasn't been any bullying here. Everyone is just friendly. Even that when she tried to convince her, but it wasn't easy at first. Icy Bliss tried to be more open, but even as she was still scared how all this happened. Even for about a year of bullying, she had almost cut off all her emotions or her almost social skills to be a speedway. But even at lunch break, when Sunset walked into her cafeteria, she noticed that Icy Bliss was sitting alone at a table. So she walked up to her, asked if she could sit down, but Icy Bliss just nodded, didn't say much. And suddenly, another person sat down. That was Pinky, the next, Rarity, Applejack, Twilight, and the others. And they start talking to Icy Bliss, and telling their names and welcome her to school. And after a while, she started opening up more, but then they saw that they had been looked at her eyes, and she started feeling crying. But then Rarity said, having two eye colors, yeah, I know, is ugly. No, it is interesting, unique. Really? She asked. Yeah, said Rainbow. I have never seen anyone with two different eye colors. Me either, said Applejack. Fluttershy said, it must have been very unusual. I never seen anything like it. But Sunset, she said, well, I have never seen that ear myself, but only heard about it. I mean, it's very rare at least from what I've seen. You really don't think my eyes are ugly because of two eye colors? She asked. No, why would we? Said Applejack. I mean, sure, everyone has their differently. I myself has been quite strong because I work at this farm. Rainbow, she's fast because she's basically an athlete. She's playing soccer, everything. Rarity is good at sewing because she's into fashion. Pinky is much as for baking because she's like a party planner. And Sunset, yeah, she's actually taking care of herself in her own way. She is much as a naturally born leader, I want to say. And that made Sunset smile and said, thanks. So, if you want, maybe, how about we all spend maybe the weekend together, like, I don't know, just have some fun. Icy Bliss thought maybe that could have been good, so they all decided to pick her up at her, or maybe at her place. And that seemed something like fun. But when Icy Bliss came home, her mother asked how her day were. She said at first it was quiet, but then she suddenly that she had got friends. That surprised her mother. That surprised her. She asked, oh, how many? About 6, 7, I think. Wow, that's great, honey. And they're coming over here for this on Saturday. Wait, this Saturday? All of them? And Icy Bliss just nodded and said, yeah. Is that okay? She asked her mother, and she said, yeah, that must be great news. As the weekend came, on Saturday, they all came. First, her mother was very nervous if they were ever sure that they had lied to her in the first place. But they said that they would be there at noon. And as the noon arrived, they all waited and waited. 2 minutes passed. And turns out they thought almost giving up hope to even then. But then suddenly they heard a knock on the door. So her mother opened the door. There stood all the friends. She was just happy to see that they actually showed up. She walked them in, and they walked into her living room, where they all sat down and they talked. Her mother had offered some snacks and something to drink. And from time to time, she could even hear her friends talking, and suddenly, all burst into a laugh. Even her own daughter. She hadn't heard her own daughter's laugh in a long time. She felt so happy that her daughter finally had found some friends. And what made them to make this laughing so much? Apparently, It turns out that Fluttershy had brought her home pet, Angel, her bunny Angel. And she was so Icy Bliss loved Angel because she loved animals. And then Fluttershy asked if maybe she would help around at the local animal shelter. And that was something Icy Bliss would love to. She loved all kinds of animals. So the next weekend, Fluttershy took with Icy Bliss to the animal shelter. And there she almost fainted of all the dogs, cats, birds, any kind of animals they were. She was like in heaven. She had never seen so many animals in one place in a local animal shelter because there weren't anyone in her hometown. And from that moment, Icy Bliss got a great bond with Fluttershy. They shared the passion in animals, take care of them, raising them. And even all the others, they felt connected to her. And Icy Bliss, though, she had this amazing time. She got new more friends at the school, and slowly by slowly, she became more open. She had a great laugh, had many friends, but no bullying. She had no bullying at her hometown in a new school. But there was one thing that had something didn't she expected to happen. During all this, only for about being past 2 months, she had opened up and been that much friends. But during those 2 months, something else did happen. She had fallen in love, but not in a boy, but a girl. And that was actually in fact Sunset Shimmer. She had fallen in love with Sunset after 2 months she'd been there. Since Sunset had been so kind to her, helped her with the homeworks, they spent a lot of time afterwards school, and they had so much in common. But there was just one thing when she realized it. When she realized she had a crush on Sunset. Which then she didn't reveal this. Because she didn't want to tell anyone. Especially Sunset. In a fair, something would happen. Like end of a friendship and perhaps losing her others. So she kept this as a secret. But after being in the school for about almost a year, at around before the holidays, winter holiday, the school was going to have a winter prom, or at least some sort of winter dance. So, Sunset still hasn't been asked to be on the dance, but then suddenly, she had asked Icy Bliss if she had anyone to be at the dance, if she had been asked out yet, but she said no, she hasn't. Even there are a few cute boys in school, she said, but she hadn't even considered have a date. Maybe she's just going by herself, or maybe with some friends. But then, Rainbow said, well, why don't you go with Sunset then? Just you two of you. That made Icy Bliss blushing, but she couldn't bring another word. Before then, she just ran away. What did just happen? Rarity asked. I have no idea, said Sunset. Is something wrong with her? Said Fluttershy. But everyone had no idea. Fluttershy and the others were just thinking, what just happened? Icy Bliss ran out of school and sat down somewhere and started crying. Applejack, who was aware of what had happened, she decided to go talk with her, since the others preferred to let her by herself. But before Applejack could walk finding her, she heard Icy Bliss talking. Why didn't you tell that? Or at least say that? I cannot be that. Can I? should I be with her? Or not, like a date? Romantic one? I don't know if she even liked me that same way. There you are. I'm looking for you. Oh, Applejack. Applejack sat down and they started talking. What's wrong? You can tell me. I'll not promise to keep this a secret. And since almost for those past few months, Icy Bliss had to get to know that Applejack is the one that always keeps the secrets, no matter what it is. So, Icy Bliss decided to make the decision to tell Applejack about what's going on. So that is what is going on. And Icy Bliss just nodded. And you were afraid that she would leave you as a friendship or something else? Yeah, most of all that. You know, love is something mysteriously. Even my parents, my family were not the same. My mother loved my brother and my dad when they were young, but my mom's dad, he didn't much approve it. After he found out they were married in secret, he disowned her, the family, or at least didn't want to talk anymore, so he moved away. So after they passed away, he reached out again and apologized for what he did. He felt stupid that he didn't repair his relationship with his own daughter, and even felt sorry for himself that he never had a chance to tell her once again before she passed. But I knew she did love her dad, even this after what happened. So, in my opinion, even if Sunset didn't like you back in the same way, you need to at least tell her, because having these feelings by inside yourself, it only get worse. Believe me, nothing is easy sometimes, but you had to tell her in some way. And Icy Bliss knew that Applejack had a point. After having this love for her for about 2 months, she still wanted to know more if she was ready to tell her. But she decided to do it soon. A couple of days later, after school was over, Sunset were talking with Applejack when Icy Bliss walked up, and Icy Bliss had talked to Applejack during the day that she was going to tell her after school. And when she appeared, Applejack nodded and said that she had to go, and they would see each other tomorrow. Then Icy Bliss talked to Sunset. She felt scared. She was really, really scared, hoping that nothing serious would happen. But after she told her, she didn't let Sunset to have any other word to say before she ran off. She ran all the way home. Her mother wasn't even home yet. So she went in her room, crying in her bed, and said to herself, I shouldn't tell her. But the rest of the day, she got text messages and even calls from Sunset. But Icy Bliss didn't answer to any of them. Not until midnight, when she called Sunset back. Sunset said she understood, but she didn't hate Icy Bliss for all this. If she wanted to be with her, she was willing to give her a chance to be that. So they decided to go to dance together as a date. And they actually told their friends, and they all weren't much as a big surprise, except from Rainbow and Rarity, who were a bit surprised, since Pinky said that she had some feeling about something like this could happen. But nothing serious did happen though, because every one of their friends supported it. When Icy Bliss told her mother, she was very surprised that her daughter was dating a girl. But as long as she is very happy for her daughter, she is happy. She was even mad that her daughter was dating a girl in the first place. So, indeed it turns out, and even at the dance, both of them felt very much connected. None of them could have expected to have been fall in love with someone they didn't seem to be with. But Icy Bliss had felt this very happy to be with Sunset. And even when Icy Bliss had been told by Sunset that she wasn't that who she says to be, that she was from another world, and that she was a pony and originally a unicorn. At first, Icy Bliss thought that this was some joke, and when she tried to convince her, it didn't work. There was only one way for her to be convinced though. That was actually when she saw Twilight wrote the book. Inside the book was magically. But there was another way. By taking her directly to Ponyville by the mirror. And that was enough evidence for Icy Bliss to realize that everything was true that Sunset had told her. But that didn't change her mind about things. Her love for Sunset only grew stronger though. And even after all that they had went through, the dance tried to convince her to be a real pony, but now she decided to live in another world as a human being, was something made them love stronger. Even there were some difficulties they had to figure out, like what they want to do after school was over, but they said, that's in the future. Let's take one day by one. And after they had finished school completely, Sunset was still working at the sushi bar, but she had been promoted to assistant manager. And what happened to Icy Bliss though? Well, she started working for full time at the animal shelter with Fluttershy. They had this amazing relationship. Their love for each other only had grown stronger for each single day. They had a small fight from time to time, but they all worked it out. But after being together for about 3 years after they finished school, they moved in together in a small apartment in town that was close enough to both their works, so they didn't have to worry about that part. And after being together though for another 2 more years, that would be 5 years in total, then Sunset had took with Icy Bliss to a restaurant to have some dinner, which to celebrate their 5th year's anniversary, when she actually had asked Icy Bliss the big question. And Icy Bliss said yes right away. She could not even ask for a better time to be asked, and when they told Icy Bliss' mother, she was just beyond happy with joy. She cried for her daughter that she had finally decided to get married. And they actually had a wedding though, in Sweet Apple Acres, and even Twilight from Equestria was invited, but she had to be disguised a little bit so no pony would figure out if she was a twin of their Twilight. But that was taken care of. Even they went to a cabin only several miles away from town, where they celebrated honeymoon for about a week. There they just relaxed, swimming in the lake, and had a barbecue on the evenings, and just had us a great time. Even after all of this, their relationship remained strong forever. Even after being married for about 3 years, they decided maybe to start a family of their own. So they decided to adopt a child from a local orphanage, and they decided to adopt a boy. And 3 years later, they adopted 2 more children, daughters, 2 sisters. One was 10, another was 8, and the boy, who was also 10, well, when he was adopted. And that's how Sunset Shimmer, Icy Bliss found a true love and got a big family. The end.